Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I believe in standing up for freedom. I believe in standing against tyranny. So if I can do anything to further the cause, that's why I'm here. I have been a registered nurse for, my goodness, well, I'm in my 37th year, so 38th year, somewhere around there. I have been in medicine. I worked 15 years in the hospital. In the last 22 years, I have been working as a family nurse practitioner. I also have certification as a women's health nurse practitioner. So I have been involved in family and women's care for the past 22 years. I'm a huge advocate of family. I'm a huge advocate of women's health, though I am also a hormone specialist here in the state of Utah, so I do a lot of hormones and providing and encouraging people to have control over their health and energy, and so that's what I do. All day as I work in the clinic with my patients, I am definitely involved directly with patient care. I'm talking to these patients. I have many of my patients who've had the COVID vaccine. I have many of them who are asking me what I think of the vaccine. If they outright ask me, I will tell them my opinion, which is, first off, you need to do your research. Don't take my opinion about it. For me and mine, I tell my family, my 78-year-old mother, do not take the vaccine. My children, my grandchildren, my husband, we will not take the vaccine. I do not believe it benefits the human body. I do not believe it is needed for a virus that has such a high survival rate. There will be those who will die from it. There will be those who become deathly ill with it. I had a family member whose life was on the line earlier this year with COVID. I still have no fear of the virus itself. I fear the vaccine and its side effects much more than I do of the actual virus. People get COVID. The majority of my patients who have had COVID have not been hospitalized. I've literally had a handful that have been hospitalized. Most people tell me that have had it. I had cold-like or flu-like symptoms. They've done well. My oldest patient was 92, just home he was sick, don't get me wrong, he was sick. He had the flu. He had like bad flu symptoms. So he had bad flu symptoms. But he was home, he stayed home, did fine. I've had 80-year-olds that have had it, they've done fine. So I've had a couple that I've hospitalized and they were younger, but they're doing well too. Our immune systems are very active and we come in contact with viruses all day, every day, fungus, bacteria. We come in contact all the time with things. We cannot walk around in fear. Will actually lower our immune system. We have to continue on with our lives. We need to have faith. We need to take care of our bodies, and we don't have to fear the virus. Most of us that get it will have cold symptoms. I haven't had it. I've had many members of my family who've had it. I don't know. I've had many patients that have had it, and I've been in these little tiny rooms with them. I go home and I take a shower or take my vitamins and carry on. So to my knowledge, I haven't had I am working in a facility, which I appreciate that they allow us freedom of choice. So that's where it is. And that's what I tell my patients. It is freedom of choice. Do your research. But me and mine, no thank you. I certainly do hear about side effects, and that's all we can kind of go by, is things that they tell me later. I'm certainly seeing people come into my clinic saying I don't feel well.
Mainstream studies aren't going to give us,
no.
We can only go off of this kind of
It's all anecdotal what people tell you, because they're only going to write about what they want you to know about. Yeah. But my patients, I've seen them come in sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks after the vaccine, just saying I have these low-grade fevers. I just don't feel well. I've had a few with severe migraines, many with body aches. So they almost act flu-y. Kind of sad, and they can relate it to the COVID vaccine. And the problem is we don't really know the long-term effects.
Right.
The short-term effects for most people on the vaccine, probably they're going to be okay in the short run, even though we've seen a few with some very serious side effects. I had one patient who was told that the reason why she had blood clots in her lungs was from hormones, but her history was she had the COVID vaccine 4 days earlier. No evidence, not one time in an entire year. Clotting can be is associated with hormones. Blood clots is a known side effect of the vaccine.
And
Yes.
so-
But of course, her doctors in the hospital told her that it was her hormones. So I took her off her hormones, which is unfortunate because she's feeling fantastic for this first time in a year.
Mhm.
And so I pulled off all her hormones because that was supposedly the right thing to do.
Doctor's orders.
Doctor's orders. And she'll go back to feeling kind of lousy again and have all the symptoms of hormone deficiency. But they didn't tell her that it was her vaccine.
Wow.
So, very sad to me. Very sad.
Things like that.
Lymph nodes are another interesting one. I've seen this quite a few times, and this sometimes will last for a good month or so. 2-4 weeks doesn't seem to be uncommon. But the side that you get the vaccine in, your right or left, that side of the axilla, and even up and along the neck, and even in the clavicles, become very swollen and tender. And I've had to send a couple of people off to the specialist because it's weeks into it, and their lymph nodes are still being a problem. I've had people complain of weird sounds in their ears. It started almost immediately after vaccination. I've had to send them off to the ear, nose, throat because I can't do anything for them, and I can't see anything wrong inside the ear or the ear canal. So I've kind of seen a few weird things like that as well. But the lymph nodes are quite significant. They are telling women you need to wait at least 4 to 6 weeks. Some, I think, are waiting longer, upwards of 3 months, in order to get a mammogram. Because if the axillary nodes become swollen, they do not want to do your mammogram during that time, because axillary nodes that are swollen may indicate possibly a breast tumor.
Mhm.
If they've recently had the vaccination, it's probably the vaccination. So they don't want to be chasing and frightening women that they may have a tumor when all it really may be is the reaction of the vaccine. The application of logic has gone out the door with COVID. We lost that probably a little over a year ago, 16, 18 months ago. I certainly have heard that the placentas of women from the midwives, midwife friends I have, do look different. The development seems to be different. Thank goodness these women have held on to their babies. But we also know that this vaccination seems to affect a hormone in the system called syncytin. Men produce syncytin in the sperm, and women produce it especially for the development of the placenta. If you can't mess with hormones, if you are trying to either conceive or you are trying to hold on to a baby. If this syncytin gets messed with and you're not producing enough of it, a woman may not conceive, and or the placenta doesn't develop properly, and she'll lose her baby. And I think, unfortunately, this is why they want to target our young people for the vaccination, which is extremely mortifying.
Right.
Because these children, teenagers, I think they're taking it down to 12 right now on the vaccination. They're encouraging 12 and older.
Mhm.
Why? Why are we vaccinating 12, 18,
People
20-year-olds?
virtually-
They have virtually zero death rate, but we're going to vaccinate them for the fear that you may spread it to grandma. So again, the logic's gone back out the door. But we should not be vaccinated. Choose for yourself. Research for yourself. But our children, in my opinion, do not need to be vaccinated. And certainly right here in the state of Utah, we have seen some very life-threatening side effects in some teens that have had the vaccination. My teenager, I've had 2 teenage grandchildren. My teenager, my youngest, have had COVID. Really, they didn't even know they had COVID. They just said to their parents something like, "Mom, I can't smell that."
Oh.
Well, that's a very typical symptom of COVID.
Distinctive
It
of this.
seems to be distinctive of COVID. If you lose your sense of smell or taste, it's got to be, you probably have COVID. Even if you have no other symptoms. And that, my 3 teenagers, that's what they had. And they just were like, "Oh, by the way, I can't smell that." They didn't know they were sick, and no other family members happened to get it. So thank goodness for that. But
It's the way that they're being told.
yes, and I know what you're talking about. I don't know what to make of that. You certainly, I've read information that says if you have this vitamin deficiency, you're going to manifest symptoms of chickenpox. I'm not quite sure about all of that yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But certainly we know that when our bodies are more alkaline, which means we are loaded full of minerals, we are less likely to get sick.
Mhm.
So it's very simple. How do we keep our bodies alkaline? How do we keep ourselves healthy? You eat the things that have minerals in it. What has minerals in it? Fruits and vegetables. Eat your fruits and vegetables. We get minerals out of plant food, but we also have to get it out of plant food that's grown organically, not sterilely in sterile soil, because then we don't get the minerals up into the plants where we have to eat them. So how to prevent? And most of us that get it, I have been around it so many times. I'm actually would like to check to see if I have antibodies. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. But I've been around it. I don't fear it. I have no fear of the COVID. I've been around it with my patients and with my family members. I've had no symptoms. Yeah, you can't go to Walmart.
Right.
You cannot go to Costco if you're going to fear germs. And it is the fear mongering that has gone on in the world, why people are still wearing their masks, why they may not leave their homes. It's the fear mongering. We know if we can feed somebody a lie for 2 months, that they will begin to believe the lie, even if initially they rejected the lie. That's the psychology. The thing is, the people who have put forth this agenda understand human psychology. And they know if we can do this for at least 2 months, and how long has this been going on now?
Over a year now, yeah.
Well over a year, 15, 16 months now. We are into this fear-mongering that the people begin to believe the lie. So they will go out and want to save themselves. And they look at this jab as their savior. It's going to save me. I can now travel again. I can go to Europe. I can get on a cruise ship. I can go wherever I want to go. I can go to college, and I won't have to be shamed. I can go into Costco, because it says right there in Costco, if you've had your jab, you don't have to wear a mask. But if you haven't had your jab, then to put your mask on. Well, the thing is, we're excluding also the millions of people who have natural immunity. And there are millions of people out there who have natural immunity. Whether they were symptomatic or asymptomatic, there's many people out there who have had immunity naturally, which is definitely more powerful than any jab can give them.
Right.
Any jab cannot do what God can do for you. That is the hard facts of life. I think that's real. I think in today's age of artificial intelligence, I think it's, well, from what I've reading and studying, because I try to read as much as and study as much as I can, because I want to know what's going on in the world. Because if we put our heads in the sand and not open our minds to the reality, we do not know how to protect ourselves. And that's why I appreciate these sorts of programs. They open up people's minds. And if initially we reject that idea, because it's like, oh, the world governments wouldn't do that to us. Okay, then our heads are still in the sand. So we have to be open to what the possibilities are. Could they put another virus out there? Absolutely. When I was in school, here's the interesting thing. SARS was a new virus. Zika is a new virus. When I was a young mom, 38 years ago with my first child, 37 years ago, we never heard of RSV. No, it doesn't really evolve.
Yeah.
Somebody created it. So if you go back into my medical books from clear back in 1982, 83, there was no RSV. There was certainly no Zika.
Right.
There was no hantavirus. There was no HIV. Okay? There's so many viruses that are new in the last 30, 40 years. Brand new. And some of them, now we just kind of live with them because that's just what we think happens every year.
Right.
But really, how many of them have been created in a lab? I dare say probably at least several, many, most have been. So yes, can they create these viruses in a lab and tweak them how they want? Absolutely, absolutely. Physically, the things we can do. First, do not have fear. Fear, they study all this. They've done studies on people who fear, and they can measure the immune system. The immune system cells, which we won't go into all the technology of that, but the technicalities, But the cells do not work as well when we are fearful. When we have faith, our immune systems work great. Doesn't matter what comes at it, the immune system is going to work well. Vitamin C, easy to take, easy to find, take it every day. Vitamin D3, D3 is the active form, D2 is not. When the sun gets onto the skin, because we've been outside all day, the body starts it out as vitamin D2. Through a process in the body of conversion, it will convert that D2 into the active form of D3. Now the cells can use it. The cells can't use D2, uses D3. So make sure you're taking your right kinds of vitamins. No, the Mother Nature will do what she needs to do.
Okay.
She knows what she needs to do when she's manufacturing it herself. But if you're going to take a supplement, take the right kind, D3. That's exactly correct. And we've actually seen that. As a kid, I did not wear sunblock. I was as brown as they come because my parents, we could do our housework in the morning, we got all of our chores done, and then to get my brothers and sisters out of my mom's way for at least a few hours every day, Dad had us a summer pass at the local pool. I lived at the pool, no sunblock. I was pretty stinking brown, but we had our natural vitamin D that way. Could I still get cancer? I don't know, maybe, but I'm not worried about it. But today, we block our children with tons of sunblock, which alone are harmful to the body, and we're blocking our own natural vitamin D. So there is some wisdom in letting the sun on our skin to a point, not to frying. I don't believe in getting yourself fried, but we need that vitamin D. But for most of us who don't spend a lot of time out in the sun, which I don't, then just take your vitamin D. We're probably actually bringing in plenty of rays. But we still need to be careful with the sun initially, because many of us who haven't seen the sun all year long, we go out into the sun and then you get burned.
So it just takes practice.
Takes some getting used to for a couple of weeks. Some people end up really swollen because they have like this allergy to the sun. It's just that they haven't been in it all winter long. Take your time getting used to it. Just take your time. Don't be out there and spend 12 hours out all day long with the first day and you're going to be fried and swollen. You're going to be miserable. Zinc, take your zinc every day. So I talked about zinc, C, and D. I have people take other definitely good things, multivitamins with methyl B12 and methylfolate. Again, methyl B12, methylfolate are the active forms of the vitamin. We guesstimate 40 to 70% of the US population have a methylation problem. So if you don't have to go get tested to find out if you do, you just take the right kinds of vitamins. Not folic acid, that's not the right kind. Just take methylfolate. Women that are pregnant who have pregnancy problems, premature labor, maybe they've had birth defects in their babies, whatever, take methylfolate, not folic acid. There's actually a right kind to take. So take the right kinds of vitamins, take your trace minerals, take good quality, you're going to do well. Have faith, not fear. You hug people. Did you know that a 20-second hug sets off so many positive hormones in the human body, builds up the immune system, sends in feelings of love and acceptance, and our immune systems respond to that. The human mind, the body relax, the blood pressure comes down, everything feels better when you have a 20-second hug. So mothers hugging their children, fathers hugging their children every day with that hug that just says, I really love you. I really appreciate you. Sets off so many positive hormones, just being hugged. And we've stopped hugging each other. 6 foot social distancing, not going to church, not meeting together as families. Exact opposite for good health. We need to not do what Fauci says, not do what the government tells us, do what your heart tells you to do, and live by what the Constitution says are our God-given rights. That's what we do. And eat lots of fruits and veggies. That's still, back when your mom said that when you were 5 years old, still holds true today. That's right, we need to be self-sufficient. We need to, as much as we can, have our storage, grow our own food, eat it. Think positive. Don't fear. Hug each other. Sing. Get your feet out into the grass. I mean, all the good things you can do to center and to ground yourself is what you want to do. There's AstraZeneca, there's Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna. So at least we have 4. I believe there's at least a dozen more in the works.